On behalf of the Muslim Student Association here at NYU, we'd like to thank you all for coming. As we normally and traditionally do, we'd like to start this program with a recitation and translation from the Quran. Bashir.
Captain Marksonville, where are you going?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله يتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير صدق الله العظيم وتبارك الله أحسن الخالقين سبحان رب العظيم. O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female and made you into nations and tribes that you may know one another. Verily the most honorable of you with Allah is the believer who is God conscious. Verily Allah is all-knowing, all-aware.
Thank you, Bashir, for that beautiful recitation from the Quran. For those who don't know me, my name is Noor, and I am a Muslim. Those aren't words that are very easy for me to say. The truth is, I get away with hiding that part of my identity. I don't have a beard. I don't wear anything on my head. I don't have a specific type of accent. I get away with people not noticing my Muslim identity by simply not mentioning it at all. And for some reason, I feel safer because of it. When I meet someone for the first time, I make a conscious effort to show that person that I'm normal before they discover my Muslim identity. I get the chance to make jokes, talk about sports, politics. I talk about my Egyptian identity, what my dream job is, my perspective on the world, all before mentioning that I'm Muslim. And the worst part about it is that I feel lucky to be afforded that opportunity of not looking Muslim. But wait a second, is that okay? Is it okay that I feel lucky? That I breathe a sigh of relief every single time I see a Muslim woman wearing a scarf walking down the street? Is it okay? It is okay. Is it okay that every single time I hear a horror story about how a Muslim man or a Muslim woman is verbally or physically abused due to her or his identity, is it okay that the first words that come out of my mouth or the first things that I think about is that thank God I don't look like a Muslim? Is that okay? It's not okay. The issue is that because this way of thinking has been so ingrained in my head, I've never even recognized it as a problem. But that's why we're here today. We're here today because we are better than this. The truth is, we've been on these stairs a lot, way too often, and all for the same reasons: ignorance and hatred. Exactly 1 year ago, 141 innocent lives were lost at the Peshawar school massacre, and we stood here united in solidarity against that ignorance and hatred of terrorism. In February, when 3 innocent Muslims were killed in Chapel Hill, we stood here united in solidarity against hatred and ignorance. Just last month at Blackout NYU, we stood in these same stairs, united against that same ignorance and hatred that fuels racism. And just days later, we sat on these stairs united in solidarity against the ignorance and hatred that took the lives of 130 innocent people in Paris. And today, here we stand, united in solidarity against the ignorance and hatred that fuels Islamophobic acts, such as vandalizing mosques, beating Muslim store owners, sending hate messages to Muslim leaders, and posting bigoted statuses on Facebook. It's important to recognize that we're all suffering from the same type of hatred. That hatred that killed innocent school children in Peshawar a year ago is the same type of hatred that killed innocent people in Paris just a month ago. And although these acts are done by different people at different times and different places, they're motivated by the same type of ignorance and hatred that we must fight together. And that's why we're here, We need to stand together, united in solidarity against Islamophobia and all types of xenophobia, because we really, truly are better than this. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Mills, and I'm the Vice Chancellor for Global Programs. I'm going to read a statement from President John Sexton, who couldn't be here today and was earlier posted on Facebook. But before I do that, I would like all the faculty and staff and senior administrators in the audience now to stand. We are here in solidarity with the students who have felt this pain. We are here to be here for you. We are here to counteract the hatred that we have all been living these past several years, starting after 9/11 here at NYU. We are here to be here for you. Whatever you need, we are here. Thank you. Statement by NYU President John Sexton, December 15th, 2015, posted on Facebook, NYU. I want to address the deplorable rise in Islamophobia. As a debater, a product of Jesuit schooling, a scholar of religion, and a legal scholar, I was taught that words matter. Rational discourse matters. Setting an example matters. So it is dismaying and hard to believe the state of our national discourse and the suggestions that our country take actions against certain people on the basis of their religion. As the president of the U.S. university that educates more international students than any other, that sends more students to study abroad than any other, and that arguably has a more expansive global presence than any other, I can state with some considerable authority that these sentiments are as misguided as they are odious and reprehensible. We should put an end to the spread of such egregious prejudice. In this current climate, I would ask that all the members of the NYU community bear in mind what is being said about our Muslim colleagues, friends, and peers, that they let them know as a community we reject it, and that they go out of their way to remind them that they are valued here and belong here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gabby Starr. I'm Dean of the College of Arts and Science, and I'm proud to be here today to say that I'm proud NYU is Muslim. And what I mean by that is NYU is every single student, every single faculty member, every single staff, alumni, and parent. And I'm particularly proud that we are home to one of the largest and most diverse Muslim communities in American higher education. I'm not happy to be here. Again, I'm here in this capacity as dean, but also as a black woman who's a mother and a sister and a wife who fears for my children. I fear for the children of others. There are Muslim parents across America who are worried that you are here in this place and are not safe. To the Muslim members of my family, I would like to say, as the objects and targets of hatred and fear, you are in a position that is both at times untenable and at times a position from which your struggle becomes clarified. You have all been called to succeed, to find the path that makes you as a human being the most round and full and contributing to the world in which you live. It is our job as a university to help you achieve that in every way that we can. That means providing the classes that help to educate those who know nothing. It means taking the platform when we can take it to educate the people who fear. It means providing you with the environment that helps you to thrive. To the rest of the members of my family who are here, and to those who are not, I would reiterate the call to allyship, because there is no advancement in any struggle without finding those people who will stand beside you, in front of you, and behind you at every step of the way. When we are at our best, that is who we will be at every moment. This is a call for that kind of support. It is also a moment in which I'm happy to offer it.
Hi, my name is Tassina Islam. I'm currently a senior at NYU. I wanted to share with you a personal narrative, an experience that I had to just help you grasp the feelings and how it just feels to be a Muslim American at this day and age. It was 3 days after the Paris attacks. I was attending a networking event for chemical engineers, and I was sitting among different schools, including the Military Institute of New York. And I came in late, and so obviously I sat in the last row, like all the other latecomers, but I sat all the way in the back, only me in that row. And one of the students of the Military Institute, dressed in his uniform, got out of his seat, walked around the entire crowd, and stood behind me. At first I thought, this isn't what I think it is. He's just walking by me. He's not doing what I think he's doing. And as he came closer and breathed down my neck, I realized this was not just him standing there for no reason. And what was the saddest part of this experience was that I did not have the self-confidence to turn around and ask him why he was standing there. Because all my life I've been taught to be the nicest, the friendliest, and the most polite Muslim representation I can be for the people around me, so that they don't think I'm the people that the media tells them that they are. And this is one of the few microaggressions and the numerous hateful comments and acts of hate that Muslim Americans have faced today and have faced since 9/11. So I want to do a small activity with you all. You all have small pieces of paper with colors on them. So if you'll see a small circle, if the circle is green, I would like you all to raise your hands. This is representing the 355 mass shootings that have happened in the past year alone. And now I would like you all to take your hands down. In the front, there's 2 hands still standing. Those represent the 2 mass shootings that were done by Muslims in the past year. Now, if you have a pink circle on your paper, I would like you to raise your hand. This is representing the 19 attacks that have happened in the past week on Muslims alone, including a woman that was shot at walking out of a mosque in Tampa, Florida. And now, if you have a yellow circle, please raise your hand. These are the 63 mosques that were reported to have hateful comments vandalized on their mosque, as well as being firebombed and shot at in the past year. And if you have a red circle, please raise your hand. This is supposed to be the 73 Muslims that were attacked in the past month alone after the Paris attacks. And now, I would like you to understand that 2/3 of hate crimes are not reported. That these numbers are just numbers of a very small percentage of hate crimes that have been reported. And these are including events of a Sikh man being shot in the face only 2 days ago, 2 mosques being attacked this past week alone. And now I want you all to raise your hands. These are the people we need to change the climate of hate we have today. Thank you.
Look, Afraz, look, I need you to listen. I need you to stop and look at me. Afraz, come on, look, I need you to stop and look at me. I'm telling you, please stop and look at me. I said stop, look at me. If the whole world were to gather to benefit you, would it force you to change your narrative? If the whole world would have gathered to harm you, would it force you to change your narrative? Well, then tell it like it is. Why don't you see God is sufficient as a witness? I am standing here before you December 16, 2015, but if you wanted to research my soul, fold me up, pull me up under a microscope, and then study the effects of the filthy bigotry, people and their rigidity, you could cite my sources back, my 2007, and I swear to God, these experiences are more than just the footnotes that our society makes them. People say your childhood shapes you into the person that you become, but some are shapeless because the scars just don't connect. Growing up in the middle school, I wanted to fit into a social clique. I wanted to fit into the right clique, but I was abusive with my right clique as I kept cutting and pasting parts of myself, hoping something about me would stick. And once I highlighted my religion, do I regret it? It's 11:30 a.m., we're learning science, but I'm telling you, I shouldn't have worn my watch that day. It's 11:45 a.m., and I'm starting to doze off, but I'm telling you, I shouldn't have worn my watch that day. It's 11:55 a.m., I'm about to knock out, 12 p.m. strikes, and the watch starts to ring, and the kid yells to my face from across the room, "Watch out, he's got a bomb." Do you know what it's like to force yourself to chuckle when your teeth are clenched tighter than the fist you have ready to punch ignorance in the face, sitting in a sea of laughter when all you see are the tears forming over your eyes, knowing that the religion that you thought you knew was the reason why your time watch is now a time bomb? Yes, the religion that was supposed to be the source of your identity is now the cause of your identity crisis 8 years later. I'm talking to you 8 years later. That kid, our society, these schools were still the product of the same filthy, sick game. We're gluttonous with our media, consuming stereotype perspectives and biased views. Any sort of information we can get, we consume and chow down sound bite by bite. Our minds become like stomachs, oversaturated. We can't differentiate between the truth and falsehood, and no matter our power to analyze, predict, and comprehend, we become numb, succumbing to the whips. I'm telling you, it's the whips of the people we so blindly follow. So when I see multiple black males getting shot and killed, I'm gonna start to believe that their race is the issue. When Latino immigrants are purported like savages, not having the value as humans, our youth will believe the number of walls on that border is the issue. When brothers and sisters in the LGBTQ community are not considered like real humans by God, are my kids gonna consider them unworthy of existence? When I hear filthy reports that 80% of mosques in the US are sources of radicalization, I fear. I fear what this media wants me to fear. I fear what these bigots want me to fear, that my own brothers and sisters in faith, the same brothers and sisters I put my face on the ground with to prostrate to our creator, sustainer, Lord of the worlds, are now trying to kill me and my loved ones. Please tell me, what kind of sick, twisted game is this? We're gathered here today, souls of all origins, and just to get to know the unbiased personal truth of a person and like your own means pulling away from this manipulation. I'm talking going from fabrication to sources of truth and revelation, standing in solidarity not just against injustice but against the lack of desire for justice. And I end with one verse. God commanded us, chapter 4, 1, 3, 5. Stand out firmly in justice as witnesses to God. Be it against yourselves, your family, your kin. Be it against yourselves, your family, your kin. Be it rich or poor, because God is a better protector to both. So don't follow the whims of your heart unless you're not seeking justice. If I'm not upholding justice to the highest of my abilities, then the issue isn't in the world around me. It's the healing that my heart requires within me. Thank you.
In the framing of my thoughts, what I would share with you all tonight, I had thousands of voices going through my head about what it was that I should talk about. And literally moments before I came here, I sat in a meeting with people who said, we want to listen. We want to hear from you what it's been like to be Muslim in the last day, the last week, the last month, the last year. We want to listen. We want to hear what it's been for young people, old people, people of every race, every ethnicity, different cultures, different social classes. Tell us what it's been like to be Muslim. And so I spoke. I shared every narrative and every story. I shared every soul that I stared at through eyes, trying to understand why they had been hated in the way they have been hated. And this person spoke in silence to be able to say, we agree. One man responded and he said, I really wish that Muslims just stopped whining. Because they're not organized. All they can do is complain. Who's whining? The 6th grade medical student from the Bronx who 3 young men beat her over and over and over, ripped her scarf off her head while they were calling her ISIS, she's whining? The shopkeeper in Astoria who's trying to just live his life and hustle the way he knows how with his business, and he gets beaten for no other reason that he's got brown skin and he believes in what he believes in, he's whining? The Sikh man who is not Muslim, but nonetheless the ignorance of racists can't make distinctions and walks into his store, pulls a gun out and shoots him straight in the face, he's whining? When we talk about our being better than this, understand what it is that as a collective we have to combat. And I will tell you, because I've stood on these steps for 15 years. I stood in that park with 12,000 of my classmates as we watched planes fly into the World Trade Center. I watched my classmates, my friends, take off their headscarves, shave their beards, hide because they felt no one would understand. I'm 33 years old, and I saw every voice be silent in that room as this man spewed the hatred that he spewed. And the one thing that I learned is that I will not be silent. And when he dared to say the words that he said, everything inside of me that said he should not be speaking manifest itself in words that let him know that he needs to put his privilege in check. You and I today have to make a conscious decision where if you see something, say something means something different. If you see hate, say something. If you see bigotry, say something. If you see racism, say something. You do not have to be a woman to speak up for women's rights. You do not have to be black to speak up for black rights. You do not have to be Muslim to speak up for Muslims' rights. An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. And there will continue to be people who will spew that mindset that says that you and I are not bigger than the boxes that this world puts us in, until we find motivation to find that courage inside of us that lets us be those who can silence that foolishness. When I was 18 years old, as a sophomore at this university, I did not speak. I had microphones in my face from all over the world. People wanting to know, what do you think? And I will say to each and every one of you, it is not a fair reality. But matters of equity alone cannot be the way that we look at things. We have to look at them through the framework of reality. And fairness aside, it is time for us to think about how we as a collective will be part of a solution to this. 3 years ago, around this time, I stood on these steps, came straight from a hospital because my baby girl was just born. And everything and everyone said to me, you don't have to come to remember those kids who were shot in Connecticut. You just had a daughter. How could I love my daughter if I didn't stand for someone else's children? A year ago, we stood when senseless violence took the lives of many in Peshawar. And we will continue to have these moments. But if we don't recognize that this has to be the first of many times that we stand together, and you all as students who stand and listen today don't recognize the importance of your voices in being able to go out and change this reality, then people like that will continue to dictate what our lives will be like. Understand that this moment can inform moments that come beyond this one. But you have to make that individual decision. And where you will not speak, I make a firm commitment to each one of you. Whether you are black or white or brown or yellow, you are young or old, you are immigrant or indigenous, irregardless of your social class, your race, your ethnicity, your cultural heritage, your country of origin, your sexual orientation, your political leanings, you are male or female, however you identify, if you feel like you can't speak for yourself, I promise you, I will keep speaking for you.
I realized this week how little I expect from people because of the hostility from those who don't know me but somehow hate what I am. I expect so little from people that I find myself constantly bracing myself. So I stand a little further back from the edge of the subway platform. So I wear headphones under my hijab to avoid hearing any insults. So I smile more at strangers, so I avoid the comment section. And I tell myself maybe they're just trolls, that they don't really feel that way. I expect so little from people that I've started to make excuses for why they say or do certain things. It's not entirely their fault. Can I blame them with the media being the way that it is? Maybe they just don't know any better. Yeah, I guess they just don't know any better. They don't know how to treat me like a human being. They don't know that I don't deserve this kind of hate. They don't know that I'm also hurting. Why do I let my expectations for other people fall so low? Why do I have to make these excuses instead of feeling like I'm entitled to kindness just by virtue of the fact that I'm also human? My friend Tessina just told that story a little while ago, and she kept saying, I wish I turned around, I wish I told that guy something. And she was so upset with herself for not saying something to a man who was literally making her feel so small. But she didn't once think, I wish someone else had said something. She's sitting there degrading herself because she didn't think she could depend on anyone else to speak for her. As if she's carrying this burden by herself because she didn't expect anyone to carry it with her. The other day, my friend Robert posted an article about how people who aren't Muslims can be allies to those who are. And regardless of what it said, the intention with which he posted it meant so much to me that I told him, Robert, thank you. And he said, the effort to work in solidarity shouldn't warrant thanks because our liberation is tied up in each other's. And that's when I realized what my problem was. That I need to know and believe that my liberation is tied up in that of others. That my expectations shouldn't be so low because we should be showing up for each other. So when I see this, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my friends that have been showing support in the last couple of days, grateful for any kindness that you've sent my way, any step you took to show that you care, because it means so much to me, and like more than you even realize. I'm grateful that you all exist, and I can't help but to be touched that you're here, because I almost stopped expecting. So I find myself grateful. But I think it's important to understand that this didn't start with Donald Trump, and it's not going to end with Donald Trump. That today you might be here because for the past month, your news feeds and TV screens were full of things that you couldn't ignore. But tomorrow, it might all disappear. What I'm asking for is that when it fades away from your Facebooks, don't assume that it's not happening. When you're finally able to ignore it, don't. Because hate doesn't just fade away even if its coverage does. Because there are people, whether they're Muslim or not, who deal with this oppression every single day, whose expectations have fallen so low that they often forget that our liberation is tied to each other's, who have stopped expecting others to speak up and are carrying a weight all on their own, who, when things happen, look up and realize that no one is making eye contact with them, no one is acknowledging what just happened, no one is speaking, no one is sharing their pain, no one even cares. And we need to know that there's people to depend on because we can't handle it alone. We can't just say we're better than this, we have to be better than this. And I ask that we stay better than this, that we're better today than what happened yesterday, that we were better than what happened yesterday, that we will be better than what comes tomorrow because we are better than this. So yeah, today I'm grateful, but maybe tomorrow I'll expect better.
I'd like to thank everyone who co-sponsored this event. We'd like to thank the speakers who have come to share their stories and NYU administrators who came to speak on behalf of Muslims. I'd like to thank Kimmel Operations for letting this happen. And we'd like to thank all of you for coming. Honestly, it means a lot to see so many people stand in solidarity for the same cause. It's really eye-opening, honestly. Please try to see what you can do to make a difference. Social media right now is really where we see a lot of this hostility, like the most accessible. Like we reference posts on Facebook. We can fight that. Just as if I was scared to say I'm Muslim, Muslims don't be scared to say you're Muslim. And people who aren't Muslims shouldn't be scared to say that they support Muslims. We really appreciate you all coming. Thank you, and have a good evening.